Let me tell you something that will shake the foundation of what you thought you knew about success. You are not waiting on success. Success is waiting on you. It's been standing by, ready to rush into your life the moment you align your thinking, your speaking, and your actions with what you truly desire. You don't have a money problem. You don't have a relationship problem. You don't even have a time problem. You have an alignment problem, and today we're going to fix that. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. This is one of the most misunderstood truths about the law of attraction. Most people believe that wanting something badly enough is enough to draw it into their lives. But desire alone is not the magnet. In fact, when you want something from a place of lack, you're sending a signal to the universe that you are incomplete. And that frequency repels rather than attracts. The energy of desperation, neediness, or emptiness tells the world that you are not aligned with what you seek. It tells the world that you are without it. When you say you want wealth but carry a scarcity mindset, you will find yourself stuck in cycles of just getting by. That's because your core identity is rooted in struggle. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your habits, they all mirror that scarcity. And so even if an opportunity for wealth shows up, you won't be able to recognize it, receive it, or sustain it. Not because you didn't want it, but because you hadn't become someone who could handle it. You must transform your identity before you can transform your reality. This principle applies to every area of life. If you want love, but are walking around with unresolved trauma, insecurity, and bitterness, you won't attract a healthy relationship. You may attract someone, but not someone aligned with the love you truly desire, because your energy, your emotional state, your internal narrative, it all speaks louder than words. You can't attract what you haven't become, a safe place to hold. So the real work isn't in chasing the relationship. The real work is in healing and becoming the version of yourself who is ready for it. People often assume the law of attraction is passive, that if they just visualize and think positively, things will change. But attraction is not passive, it's active. You attract not with hope, but with embodiment. You must become the thing you seek. If you want success, carry yourself like someone who is successful now. Show up early, finish what you start, speak with confidence, not because you're pretending, but because you're training your nervous system to normalize the very thing you're asking for. The universe is always responding to who you are being, not what you're wishing. If your inner world is filled with fear, doubt, and self-pity, the results in your outer world will reflect that. And this isn't punishment, it's feedback. It's an invitation to rise to a higher frequency, to elevate your standards, to shift your beliefs. You don't fix your life by fixing the external. You fix it by fixing the internal. And when the internal changes, the external has no choice but to follow. We live in a mirror-based universe. What you experience is a reflection of who you are. If you're constantly facing chaos, confusion, or limitation, it's time to examine your thoughts, your self-improvement, your patterns. Because all of that is communicating what you expect from life. You can't claim abundance but walk around speaking lack. You can't ask for peace but constantly choose conflict. The alignment has to be total. The energy has to be consistent. You become magnetic when your thoughts, emotions, words, and actions are all in agreement. That's when the law of attraction works with power and precision. People will say you're lucky. No, you're aligned. They'll say things just seem to work for you. No, you worked on yourself until the external had to catch up with your internal. It's not luck, it's law, it's cause and effect. When who you are becomes a match for what you desire, the connection is inevitable. This is why personal development is the most powerful investment you can make, because as you grow, your world grows. As you elevate, your environment begins to reflect your elevation. The rooms you walk into change, the conversations you have shift, the opportunities that were once hidden begin to show up, because now you're someone who can see them, understand them, and steward them well. You've raised your standard. And when your standard rises, everything else must rise to meet it. Most people want results without transformation. They want the fruit without changing the root. But until your identity changes, your outcomes will stay the same. That's why you can read all the books, go to all the conferences, repeat all the affirmations, and still feel stuck. Because if you're speaking abundance but being scarcity, the universe listens to the being, not the words. That's why the deeper work matters. That's why becoming is more important than wanting. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe you deserve. You get what you're prepared to handle. You get what your energy, thoughts, and habits invite. You attract what you are. So the path to having more is not in wanting harder, it's in becoming better. It's in showing up each day as the version of yourself that already has the life you desire and doing that until there's no longer a gap between who you are and what you want. Success is not something you chase, it's something you align with. That statement flips the script on everything the world teaches you. From a young age, we're told to hustle, grind, and chase the dream. We're told that if we just work harder, longer, and faster, success will eventually catch up to us. But what if success isn't behind you? What if it's ahead of you, waiting for you to become the version of yourself that naturally attracts it? When you're constantly chasing, you're operating from a mindset of separation. You see success as something out there, something distant, something that exists apart from who you are. And when that's your mindset, no matter how hard you run, you're reinforcing the belief that success is not yours yet. And energy like that creates resistance. True success comes from alignment, when your thoughts, beliefs, habits, and emotions are synchronized with the outcome you desire. When your internal world matches the external world you want to live in, doors open without force. The right people show up, ideas flow. Your environment shifts to match your internal state. That's alignment. And alignment is magnetic. It doesn't require pressure. It doesn't demand struggle. It requires clarity and congruence. And when you're aligned, your actions feel purposeful instead of forced. You move with confidence because your vision is no longer a wish, it's a knowing. You don't operate out of desperation or anxiety. You're not worried if it's going to happen because you already are the person it happens for. You're not pretending, you're not chasing, you're simply walking in a reality that your internal alignment has already made true. Alignment is about integrity between who you say you are and how you actually live. If you say you're building a legacy, but keep making decisions based on comfort and convenience, you're not aligned. If you claim to want growth, but run from discomfort, you're not aligned. The results don't lie. Alignment produces fruit. It brings flow. It creates ease, not because life becomes easy, but because you become clear, focused, and undistracted by what doesn't serve your future. You can't align with success if your habits are rooted in survival. Many people are chasing goals while carrying the energy of fear and scarcity. They're hustling because they're afraid to lose, not because they're ready to win, and fear-based action may produce short-term results, but it will never bring lasting success. Lasting success is a byproduct of inner peace, clarity, and direction. It's the natural result of living in alignment with your higher self, your vision, and your purpose. To align with success, you have to audit every part of your life, your mindset, your language, your relationships, your routines. Ask yourself, does this align with where I'm going? Because if it doesn't, it's not neutral, it's resistance. The gap between you and your success is not bridged by speed, it's bridged by alignment. And that means sometimes the most productive thing you can do is stop, reflect, and get back in sync with your purpose before you move again. Most people aren't lacking strategy, they're lacking alignment. They have the knowledge, they've read the books, they know the steps, but they're not internally aligned with the outcomes they say they want. They sabotage, they procrastinate, they quit halfway through, not because they're lazy, but because something inside of them isn't in agreement with their goal. Until that inner agreement is established, no amount of outer hustle will compensate. When your identity is aligned with your intentions, success becomes a natural outcome. Not effortless, but natural. You don't second guess every step. You don't feel like an imposter. You don't need constant motivation. You're not dragging yourself toward the goal. You're moving in sync with it. You become the type of person success is attracted to. You're no longer chasing because what once felt far away is now moving toward you. This is what alignment feels like. Clear mind, calm heart, consistent action. You're not forcing. You're not begging. You're not overwhelmed by the journey. You are becoming the destination. And the moment who you are matches what you desire, the chase ends. Because success has no choice but to meet you there. Your words are not sounds, they are commands to the universe. Every time you open your mouth, you are not just communicating, you are creating. Language is the tool we use to shape reality, to give form to ideas, and to call things into existence. Most people speak carelessly, unaware that their casual words are shaping the very outcomes they later complain about. Your tongue is not just an instrument of conversation, it is an instrument. When you speak, you're setting something in motion. Whether it's good or bad, empowering or limiting, your words are planting seeds. And every seed you plant grows. Some people are harvesting lack not because they don't work hard, but because their language keeps producing weeds instead of fruit. They say things like, I'm broke, nothing ever works out for me, I'm just not that lucky, without realizing they're giving the universe repeated instructions to make that true. The universe doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you don't want. It simply responds to what you consistently declare. So when your speech is filled with doubt, worry, and complaint, you're not just expressing emotions, you're issuing blueprints for your future. You're telling the universe, this is what I expect, this is what I accept, and this is what I want more of, even if that's not your intention. Intention doesn't matter as much as repetition. What you say over and over becomes your reality. Your subconscious mind, which is responsible for 95% of your actions, believes everything you say, especially when you say it with emotion. That means every word becomes a program that gets written into your internal operating system. If you say you're tired, overwhelmed, unworthy, unlucky, your subconscious accepts that as truth and begins to filter your experiences to match it. That's not superstition. That's psychology. That's how beliefs are formed and reinforced. Words are spiritual technology. In the beginning, everything was created by a word. That principle hasn't changed. You have the same ability to create your world with your words. When you speak with clarity, intention, and belief, your words go out like arrows. They don't disappear. They go to work. They seek alignment. They shift energy. They either open doors or close them based on the frequency they carry. Words are the currency of creation. This is why speaking life is so important. Speaking life over your finances, over your family, over your health, over your dreams. Even when things look the opposite, your words should not reflect your circumstances. They should reflect your vision. You are not a reporter of what is. You are a commander of what will be, and that requires discipline. It requires awareness. You can't just let anything fly out of your mouth and expect your life to move forward with power. People don't realize they are prophesying over their own lives every day. Every sentence is a seed or a sword. It's either constructing the future or cutting it down. And when you understand this, you start paying close attention to your language. You start rejecting phrases that don't serve your destiny. You stop joking about failure. You stop speaking defeat just to fit in. You stop letting emotions write checks you don't want to cash. Speaking in alignment with your vision isn't fake. It's foundational. It's not lying to yourself. It's leading yourself. It's directing your energy, shaping your reality, and choosing to vibrate on a level that matches what you want, not what you fear. Your current reality might not look like your future yet, but your words should point to where you're going, not where you've been. The moment your mouth agrees with your mission, you become a magnet for the miraculous. Even in moments of uncertainty, you must guard your mouth. Not because you're trying to be perfect, but because your words carry power even when you don't feel powerful. The universe doesn't take breaks. Every whisper, every complaint, every declaration is a command. And those commands begin creating long before you see results. So when nothing seems to be happening, something is. Your words are building before your eyes can see. This is not about hype. It's about responsibility. You are responsible for what you speak because you are the architect of your world. You don't just speak what you see. You speak what you seek until you seek what you spoke. Every day you're writing your future with your mouth, and the more you realize that, the more intentional you become about never letting your tongue speak against your purpose again. Don't fake it till you make it. Faith it till you manifest it. That phrase isn't just catchy. It's a complete shift in how you approach growth, success, and identity. Faking it implies pretense. It suggests wearing a mask, pretending to be something you're not, hoping one day reality catches up to your act. But there's nothing powerful or sustainable about pretending. Pretending disconnects you from authenticity. Faith, on the other hand, anchors you in a future reality that you know is already yours, even if it hasn't arrived yet. Faith is substance, it's confidence in the unseen. It's alignment with what you believe is already done. When you move in faith, you're not lying to yourself. You're trusting the process and walking in agreement with your destiny. You may not have the evidence in your hands, but you carry the evidence in your spirit. That inner knowing is more powerful than any circumstance because it doesn't depend on what you see. It depends on what you believe. Faking it is external. It's about image. It's about optics, trying to look the part without becoming the part. But faithing it is internal. It's about transformation. It's about letting belief reshape your mindset, your habits, your words, and your posture until your life begins to reflect what you've already accepted as true. You're not playing a role. You're becoming a reality. You're showing up as your future self before the world recognizes it. There's a level of confidence that comes from faith that faking can never imitate. Faking is fragile. It breaks under pressure. Faith is unshakable because it's rooted in purpose. When you faith it, your actions are intentional. Your energy is clean and your motives are pure. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're simply honoring who you know you're meant to be. You're not chasing validation. You're walking in vision. Faith keeps you grounded while you grow. It gives you the strength to walk into rooms you don't feel qualified for yet, not because you're pretending you belong, but because you know you're called. And when you're called, you show up with boldness. You don't shrink back. You don't apologize for your presence. You take your seat at the table not because of what you've accomplished yet, but because you've already seen in your spirit what's coming. Faking it seeks approval. Faithing it seeks alignment. You're not looking for permission to succeed. You've already given yourself permission through belief. You're not waiting on the world to catch on to your potential. You're activating your potential by showing up, speaking life, and taking action like it's already done. You're not performing for applause. You're preparing for manifestation. That's the difference. Faith demands action. It doesn't wait around hoping things will change. It moves as if they already have. You make the call. You take the step. You build the vision brick by brick because you trust that the blueprint in your heart is real. When you faith it, you don't need the full picture. You just need the next step. And each step you take creates momentum, builds belief, and brings the invisible closer to visible. One of the most dangerous traps is thinking you need to have it all together before you start. That's why so many people fake it, because they think perfection is the price of progress. But faith doesn't require perfection. It just requires movement. It requires obedience to the call, even when the details are unclear. It requires boldness to speak the end from the beginning, to walk into unfamiliar territory with the conviction that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. There's a frequency to faith. It carries power in your tone, clarity in your decisions, and peace in your posture. People can feel the difference. Faith doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. It holds a quiet authority. And when you carry yourself with that kind of inner certainty, the external world begins to shift to accommodate your belief. Circumstances start bending. Opportunities start appearing. People start responding differently, not because you faked your way in, but because your faith created an undeniable presence. To faith it till you manifest it is to live in harmony with your purpose before your results show up. It means speaking as if, acting as if, and believing as if until the if becomes is. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about consistently showing up as the person you're becoming until who you're becoming becomes who you already are. If you want to attract more, you must become more. That truth is simple, but it's one of the most powerful keys to transformation. Most people spend their lives trying to get things, more money, more love, more recognition, without realizing that the outer world is just a mirror of the inner self. You cannot pull into your life something greater than who you are prepared to handle. The level of what you attract will always match the level of who you are. People chase outcomes without upgrading their identity. They want success but maintain small habits. They want wealth but think with a poverty mindset. They want deep relationships but operate from shallow emotional capacity. What you attract isn't about your wish list. It's about your capacity. And capacity is something you grow by becoming more, expanding your vision, sharpening your discipline, and elevating your stand. If the results haven't changed, it's not the world, it's the level you're operating from. Everything in life moves in alignment with vibration. You don't get what you want, you get what you resonate with. If your daily thoughts, your energy, your routines, and your inner narrative don't match the level of what you're asking for, it won't stay even if it shows up. You may stumble into something good, but without growth, you won't have the strength or wisdom to hold on to it. That's why becoming is the real path to abundance. You attract by matching, not by wishing. This is not about doing more for the sake of doing. It's about becoming more, in essence, in thinking, in leadership, in character. The business you want requires a different version of you. The relationship you're praying for demands more maturity. The life you're dreaming about requires more discipline, more faith, more focus. You can't bring your old self into a new season and expect to thrive. You must evolve in order to elevate. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be, and the only thing that fills that gap is growth, not external shortcuts, not lucky breaks, but deep personal transformation. When you become more valuable, more intentional, more refined in thought and action, you naturally begin to attract opportunities that match that level. It's not about chasing success. It's about becoming a magnet for success through alignment and evolution. Growth is not glamorous. It's stretching. It's uncomfortable. It requires you to face parts of yourself that you've been avoiding. But every level of greatness requires the shedding of what no longer fits. Who you were may have served you in one season, but if you want more, you must become more. That means letting go of excuses, of playing small, of shrinking to fit environments that no longer reflect your future. Becoming more isn't about becoming someone else. It's about stepping fully into who you were always meant to be. It's about activating the untapped potential that's been buried under fear, doubt, and procrastination. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be committed. Committed to growing your mindset, committed to doing the hard things, committed to raising your expectations. You can't attract greatness while settling for mediocrity. Attraction is a result of alignment, and alignment begins with becoming. The universe doesn't reward desire, it rewards preparation. Are you becoming the kind of person who can carry the thing you're asking for? Can you be trusted with the level you're dreaming about? Can you sustain the weight of the blessings you say you want? If the answer is no, then it's time to do the inner work and expand who you are before you expect more from the world around you. Becoming more means mastering the small things. It means showing up with excellence even when no one's watching. It means saying no to distractions, even when they're convenient. It means training your mind to think beyond limitation, your heart to believe beyond fear, and your body to move with intention. It's in those quiet, disciplined moments that the version of you who attracts more is built, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows of consistency. This journey isn't about quick wins. It's about lasting transformation. If you want more, you must become more, and becoming more is a decision you make daily. It's the choice to rise, the choice to grow, the choice to become the type of person whose life reflects abundance, not by force, but by natural alignment with who you've chosen to become. Stop reacting to life and start creating it. Most people live their entire lives on defense. They wake up responding to alarms, messages, emergencies, other people's priorities, constantly putting out fires instead of building something with intention. They're always responding, always adjusting, always trying to keep up. But life was never meant to be something you survive. It was meant to be something you design. You were born to create, not just cope. Reacting is passive. It's living from the outside in. It means letting circumstances dictate your energy, your mood, your direction. It means waiting for something to happen before you move, before you shift, before you change. It keeps you in a cycle of waiting for permission, waiting for signs, waiting for something to break open. But when you live like that, you're not in charge. Your environment is. You become a puppet of chance instead of a creator of change. Creating life is about intention. It's about clarity. It's about taking ownership of your time, your vision, your values. You don't wait for the storm to pass. You build in the storm. You don't wait for things to calm down. You find peace within and move from that place. Creating life means deciding what you want and moving toward it daily, even if conditions aren't perfect. It means leading your life with purpose instead of reacting to pressure. When you're always reacting, life feels chaotic and out of control. That's because you've surrendered your power to everything around you. One bad conversation ruins your whole day. One missed opportunity knocks the wind out of your confidence. One person's opinion can derail your momentum. That's not freedom. That's slavery to the unpredictable. Creating your life flips that script. It puts the power back where it belongs, in your hand. You were designed with the ability to imagine, to decide, to speak, and to act. And those are the very tools of creation. You're not stuck unless you decide you are. Every day is a blank canvas, and your thoughts, words, and choices are the brushstrokes. You can't control everything that happens, but you can always control how you respond. And that response is the first act of creation. It's the first sign that you're no longer just letting life happen, you're directing it. Creating your life begins with vision. What do you want? Who are you becoming? What does success feel like for you? Not what the world says, not what others expect, but what aligns with your spirit. Without vision, you'll keep reacting to whatever is loudest or most urgent. You'll confuse movement with progress. But once you have vision, you start making decisions that match your destiny, not your distractions. You must also master your mindset. A reactive mind is always in survival mode. It's constantly scanning for danger, problems, and threats. But a creative mind is in purpose mode. It sees possibilities. It asks better questions. It focuses on solutions, on growth, on what can be done instead of what's wrong. The mind is either your master or your servant. And the difference lies in whether you're reacting or creating. Creating your life doesn't mean you control every outcome. It means you influence every moment with intention. It means you build emotional resilience. You decide how you show up, how you speak, how you think. You're not waiting for motivation. You're driven by mission. You're not searching for perfect timing. You're working with what you have and making it count. You stop looking at life like a series of problems to solve and start seeing it as a masterpiece to paint. This shift is not a one-time decision. It's a daily discipline. Every day you have to decide, will I react or will I create? Will I live from old patterns or will I create new pathways? Will I echo the past or will I shape the future? You don't need a perfect plan to start. You just need a decision. A decision to take one step forward in the direction of your vision, and then another, until the momentum is undeniable. You weren't put here to be a victim of your surroundings. You were put here to impact them. You carry creativity in your spirit, authority in your voice, and power in your decisions. Life responds to those who take the reins. It opens up for those who dare to create. Every result you see around you started as a thought, a word, a choice. So if you want something different, don't wait for it. Create it.